New World Order, you underestimated the people. You took a gamble and you lost.
Okay, we don't like this. Okay, well then we're going to do this, and that is just how it's going to be.
Evidence brought to light that there is a corrupt officer, or that officer did shoot that kid on purpose.
I don't care how I look, I don't care how I sound, I don't care what the beat is. I just care the message gets across.
Welcome back. This rant is going to be a little bit different from what we're used to. Normally it's all about me bitching about other people doing stupid shit. This one, on the other hand, it's going to be a little bit different. If you're listening carefully, you'll probably hear a few bits and pieces of things you've heard before from other people, maybe a little bit more in depth than what you're used to. Clarification of particular terminologies to make sure that we really fully grasp what we're talking about. I really just want to make sure that the Worldwide Resistance Network is very careful with the language it chooses to use. A wise man once told me that one of the fundamental problems that the human creature, and you're going to hear me say that a lot today, the human creature, it encompasses all of us, every single one of us, the human race as a whole, but examined quite literally as the animal that we are, as a creature of this planet, no different from a lion, a tiger, or a bear, anything of that nature. We are a creature, regardless of what we want to believe. We can elevate ourselves. We could open a bunch of fancy books and tell us that God has elevated us. All of these things are true, that we are apparently better than every other creature on this planet. So, before we go into too much depth, to give you an idea as to what kind of conversation I'm going to have with you today, when God said, "Thou shalt not kill," was he only referring to each other? Was he only referring to humans killing humans? Or if we place the human being, the human creature, exactly where it belongs in the cycle of all this beautiful thing that we call Earth and life and the universe and all these beautiful things, if we acknowledge that we are first and foremost as a whole, a creature, and "thou shalt not kill" could apply to the human creature just quite literally not killing things. We start to see the doctrinal validity of some of the vegetarians, the hardcore extremist vegetarians out there, whatever. We begin to see where their deepest connotations come from. So just kind of keep that little nugget in your brain where I'm asking you to literally look at everything in a very, very different way. And the reason why I do this is because when I speak to my activists, people who choose to communicate with me and get my advice or my input on certain things or just a new direction, really. Like if you ever wanted to know what John Connor was good for, directions. What's that gibberish you're trying to figure out? Oh, I got a few things over here you could look into. What, you think the banks are all in on it? Well, dude, I got shit over here that proves it. It's right there, fractional reserve banking. Just figure that stuff out. Don't let the big numbers scare you. Just figure it out. Oh, you think religion's corrupt? Oh, well, dude, the books we need to open. The books that we need to open. Forget Google. Forget that shit. We're talking like books, like Vatican archives. You know, the libraries of Congress. Some of the most amazing historical documents. I'm not talking about the library down the street. You might find some really nifty stuff there. I'm not going to say that libraries are bad. But when we want to get into the concepts of religion and how corrupt it may be, oh, geez, wow, the books that need to be opened. Okay? if you want to talk about us, that's where I like to start, because this movement as a whole, we've come to a pretty substantial realization that a change is required, and the better way of going about these kinds of changes is to change oneself. And that's, I have to admit, that is the truth. If you be the change that you want to see, nothing wrong with that. So we start with ourselves. So let's look at the paradoxes that were looked at and the paradigms that we have to look at here as a human creature. And I'm not going to mince words here. We are a very fascinating creature. You ever notice some creatures out there, if one has something, the other one has to have it. And it'll create wars and things of that nature amongst themselves. And yes, of course, we do these things. I'm not going to say that the human creature is absent of this. But the human creature is really intriguing on the concepts of, we don't need to send the whole planet to space. You just send 10, 12 of those motherfuckers up there and we're all happy. We were all part of the team. The human creature has entered space. Okay? We don't all have to own Ferraris. But if a few of us have them, oh boys, the human creature is experiencing the Ferrari like a motherfucker. So I want you to really look at this as a broad spectrum thing and not as an individual thing. Although the changes in which that we discuss are very individual, I find it easier to find those changes when we look at ourselves in a broad spectrum first. Identify the problems first. First, you got to admit that there's a problem before you can begin to fix any of it. Ask any alcoholic, ask any drug addict, ask anybody who has fought with any form of addiction, be it sexual, be it gambling. May the lists go on. You have to acknowledge the problem first. Well, in order to acknowledge the problem, you have to take a very serious look at yourself first. Where have I gone wrong? And then, where have my friends and I, not where has my friends gone wrong, no, where have I gone wrong? And then where have I and my friends gone wrong? Where can we, amongst ourselves, instead of asking each one of my friends to fix their shit all by themselves, is there a way? Is it physically, feasibly possible that I can fix myself, and in the process of fixing myself, I can aid my friends in fixing themselves, and that they can help me fix myself? Is this possible? I think you're looking at the foundations of religion at that point. You see, what's important to really realize in this world, as wow as it might be, is that religion is found everywhere. Very spiritual creature we are. And don't tell me that we're not a spiritual creature, because we can go and visit untainted, or in my not so clean vocabulary, unmolested tribes. You know, where the white person just didn't show the fuck up. And without exaggerating the fact, we live in a society today that even sending the black guy is not the best idea either. Now, I'm not saying that black people won't relate to the Aboriginals or the tribes folk of their very own culture. But I'm saying the black people may not be able to relate. Not that they can't. But there's black people out there that are whiter than me inside. And when I say whiter than me, I mean whiter than me. Like, if we understand the white man, let's be very, very careful about how we're doing this here, because we don't want a race issue to erupt around, especially around this conversation, because this is not the direction that I'm seeking with this. But is it fair to say that for every white boy that sags his pants and thinks he's black. There might be a black guy that thinks he's white. And that, fits the fucking bill. His skin color's black, but he's the whitest banker you've ever met. Now let's send one of those black guys to Africa. How well are they going to adapt? The skin tone is the same. Maybe a little less of a culture shock for the receiving party. I could have all the good common sense in the world, but me, white as snow, appearing in Africa to a unmolested, non-disturbed tribal section, or Brazil, where we could face the same situations, or where we can face the same things in Australia with the Aborigines, you drop my ass there, I could be making all the common sense in the world. I could even speak their language. Those motherfuckers are still running. Why? Because the white man showed up. And nothing about their culture. And then people say it's a racism thing. You know what, dude? Have you ever got hung the fuck over so bad, and you looked at yourself in the morning the next day, and you said, Jesus Christ, I'm scary looking right now. I don't want to appear in public like this. We are intimidating to a particular level. And you say, oh, well, no, black people aren't afraid of white people. No. Okay, little ass white dude. Go take a walk down the darkest ghettos of your community that might hold, now depending on where you live, the undesirables could be of either color at this point. Like, unfortunately, as I've always said, fuck it, man, nigger is now available in white, don't worry about it. Okay? What I'm getting at here is that the fear that standardized white guy gets while walking down the ghetto and running into one black person. See, you guys all thought that I was going to talk about, a gang of 16 hooligans, rolling up on you. No. Let's be realistic, okay? One little ass white dude, one little ass black dude, okay? You guys, at that moment, on the streets, have a choice. How you doing? Shake hands. How's the weather? Or you could be equally as afraid of each other. Black guy thinks you're a white supremacist. White guy thinks you're a common thug. Jeez, that sucks, doesn't it? I used to say this in videos in the past. Perhaps with the larger audience, people will capture the motif of what I'm trying to present here. But if the African American, if the African, the straight up African from Africa, fuck the African American. I'm not saying fuck the African American. I'm just saying you're an American now. Okay? Your skin just happens to be black. Okay? You're an American. If they want to try and take that away from you, fight through and through. Bare your teeth, bare your claws, bare whatever. Fight it. But when it's all said and done, if white people don't like black people, if black people don't like white people, if the French don't like the English, and the English don't like the French, and the Spanish just hate everybody, and everybody dislikes the Spanish, there's just enough hatred in that wheel to keep all of these horrendous things that we talk about moving. That is, don't want to burst your bubble, boys and girls, but it really is that simple. If we maintain this level of division, as spoken in length through Tin Man and Lucid via one of their weekly reports last week, if we allow something, and they're going to might catch a little flack on this there, something as simple as police brutality. Oh, simple police brutality. That's not simple. You know what's not simple? Okay, bombing Palestine and killing a bunch of children. That's not simple. Police brutality, walk in the fucking park. In retrospect, so eat those words just for a little bit. Okay? When we can't look at something as simple as police brutality without without making it a race issue. That's huge. When we can't look at, for instance, a movement to protect water, such as the anti-fracking movement, and it can't, and then against all odds and against the will of the very people that it was coined after, became a native issue. See, where the United States faces the black-white, Canada faces the white Native American. Really not sure what Mexico has to deal with. Spanish, a lot of Americans. Well, I guess, yeah, can't say that it doesn't happen. Americans run to Mexico to hide, so yeah, you can see a Spanish-American problem there too, for the Mexican problem on their racial divide. Probably more down into the South America, we might see a problem there as well for them. Not well versed in Mexico. It's really far down there, guys. Okay, I'm at the north end of the continent. The fact that I know more about your president than most of you do, it says a little bit about me. You know, I have two governments pretty well wrapped around my head and figured out. But if we can keep those divisions there, oh wow, then divide the divisions. As Tin Man said, it gets as ludicrous as professional sports, down to Cocoa Puffs and Fruity Puffs, whatever the fuck. Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Puffs, whatever. The division is astronomical. Now, getting back to this whole looking at the human creature aspect of things, we are asked, and when I brought this up to one of the guys that I speak to face, it was a slap in the face for both of us. Because we are asked, our generation, okay, I'm 31 years old, okay, I am considered amongst the adults of this generation, okay? In a few more years, my children are going to think I'm the worst thing since sliced bread. So, my generation is asked to define the lines of reality. That doesn't sound like much. You see it, you touch it, it's real. Pretty simple stuff, right? Have you ever really considered the heck we're living in right now? Don't pretend like the technological era that we are living in today was not a dream of yours when you were 8. You know, first time I held a smartphone, I looked at that thing and I said, wow. Especially when FaceTime came about. When FaceTime came about, it was done like dinner. I looked at it, I said, it's about time they got the Turtlecom working. Some people look at the smartphone with its amazing capability of research and say, nah, it's closer to a Pokedex. You know, ability to communicate and ability to research. Cartoons, guys. Figments of our imagination. Car-fucking-toons. I'm talking about the goddamn Ninja Turtles and fucking Pokemon with technology in those characters long before anything like this existed. See, I come from the generation that had the dial-up and all the bullshit of the internet, and I've watched it just go exploded. So explain to me now that you've understood.